and welcome, beloveds, to another episode of Ask Dr. Mumbi. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray that you are well in all your ways and that you're moving into living life truly on your own terms. We want to thank every single person that has subscribed to this channel and supports the spiritual Patreon family. And just there's many more shows on there. I think they're like 10, 15 shows ahead. So definitely consider joining for as little as $2 a month. But thanks to everyone who's a member there. And thanks to everyone who sends us questions. Ask Dr. Mumbi. Dr. Mumbi at drmumbishow.com is where you can reach me. And we usually pick the most popular questions that we get. One of the questions that I get a lot is, what do I think will be the future language of Africa? With a lot of our brothers and sisters relocating back to the motherland, to the mothership. A lot of people are asking, should we learn Kiswahili? Should we learn many different languages from across the continent? And I always say the greatest thing to do is wherever you're moving to and wherever you live right now, because there's some of our brothers and sisters who have been so deep in the Babylon system, they don't even speak their own language, their own mother tongue, and they're on the motherland. So wherever you are, I think it's very important to pick up the basic words of the most popular language of the people or even the community you're living in, to just know the basics, how to say hi, how to say please, how to say thank you, just the basics, beloveds. But really, when we get into the deep semantics of the African language and what will be the language of our people, because people are like, how will we unite if we're still on this Babylonian language? The language is going to be telepathy, beloveds. The language of Africa's future is mental. There'll be less of this and more of seeing and communicating. Which is why we're seeing now Babylon, they've tried to replicate this in so many ways, even with because we won't need translators and all of that. And you'll see sometimes when, I've witnessed it so many times when someone has come from Babylon and met an elder in the village, none of them spoke each other's language, but they overstood each other, and they can spend a whole day together and they'll be able to overstand each other. And we try and figure it out with our logical, physical minds, which makes us miss the point, because you don't just meet anybody physically only, you also meet them spiritually. So the language of our future, the language of the melanated people's future is telepathy, beloveds. It will be mental. And that's how even the war, the ultimate war for the minds of our people that are staying entrapped, because we've won, beloveds. Babylon is falling. But now, so many of our minds people are falling with Babylon. So it's like we're on the ultimate search and rescue operation, any of us who are awakening, because our vibe affects them. And you'll find, even as you continue this awakening process, it becomes very telepathic. In terms of we're all we become so aware of the group think. That's why you can't necessarily do crowds or groups, because the crowd is the matrix, let's say. So you'll find that you really only want to be around like-minded people, because you're switched on. You can hear literally other people's thoughts. So you only want to be around like-minded people where it's elevated. And I see it all the time in the comments and in emails where people will be like, yo, the revelation, even some of the craziest things I've released, they'll be like, I had the same revelation, my spirit team just revealed to me that there will be a female messiah, there will be a female priesthood that will take over the world. No. But there's all these things, that there's so many confirmations, beloveds. And so we just have to know that. And what are the implications of that? That the future language will be telepathy, is that the purification process is everything, beloveds. If you don't purify, you will die. Physically and spiritually, beloveds. Because you'll be pulled into another realm. I keep saying we're at a crossroads. Some would say between heaven and hell, But heaven and hell are realities right here on earth that were man-made. The eternal pit of fire is a mental disorder, beloveds. Stories for other days. But the future language will be telepathy, beloveds. That's how we're gonna, before we even get another physical language, if we will even get to that level, because we used to use the tongue to command reality and, command things into being, not to just gossip about, the neighbor down the road. It's just like we use it for such meaningless and powerless things, so it's become totally powerless. But the implications of having a telepathic language where we can communicate without speaking the same physical tongue means that you're going to have to reach a certain level of purity. Otherwise, even if you try and reach this level of telepathy, you may just be communicating with the wrong kind of people telepathically, the wrong kind of spirits and demons and, wicked ones and diabolical ones. That's why you have to do your work for the seasons and times that are coming, beloveds, so that you can really experience heaven on earth. Because it's an intense process. If you're not there, you see, you communicate with who you're vibrationally matched with and below. So you always want to, aim higher or try and only stick to your level, literally. Because below is always open to you. You can have a moment of weakness where you go into, a negative tailspin of thinking, and then you're just found with some really sketchy characters. But your energy, what you are the majority of the time, is what influences your reality. And let's not forget that we're spiritual beings having a human experience first. But the language of Africa's future, the language of Eden's future, the language of this planet's future is telepathy, beloveds. It will be mental. And it's not something that's like 1,000 years from now, people will be speaking mentally to each other. No, we're talking less than a decade. I mean, it's happening now. Especially among the chosen ones and those who are here to do a reason, to help to complete the total overthrow of Babylon. There's so much that the spiritual team is doing across the world, beloveds. Awakening the army, getting everyone in position, orchestrating everything, like like the way the conductor keeps the orchestra together. We're a massive orchestra, even if I'm playing the violin here and you're playing the flute all the way in the divided states. The spiritual team is connecting us in our actions, in our doings. The energy is building, beloveds. It's gaining serious momentum. But we have to now, just the most important thing is to work on ourselves and to get that point where you know without knowing. You know what I mean? Let's take a short break. We'll be right back. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, Africa. Welcome back, beloveds, to Ask Dr. Mumbi, where I'm answering one of the questions I get so often. What is the language of Africa's future? A lot of people are picking up Kiswahili. Kiswahili is being learned across the world, actually. Different universities, major universities are even teaching it as a major curriculum now. But who cares about that? What we care about is even online. Our people are coming online. They're offering more Kiswahili lessons. A lot of even different schools across the continent are different governments are adopting it into their curriculum. A lot of countries in Southern Africa have adopted it, although most of East Africa, Kiswahili is actually an official language. It's spoken in most countries. So that you could say that would be one of the languages, but it really depends on what region you move to, what country you move to, and what area of that country you move to. It's always good to have a few terms from the local language, in under your belt, so you can at least establish that initial contact. I've also been getting a lot of interesting emails from people asking, what's the name of God in your language, etc., or in different African languages, so that I can incorporate that instead of just saying this Mzungu God word. And that is also really beautiful, beloveds. But remember, the most important thing is your intention, not the words you say. And they've tried to, and I know that sounds like, like double speak, but it's true. Like, your intention trumps everything, whether you say it correctly, whether you don't say it correctly. Just make sure that the place it's coming from, you have absolute clarity about what you're asking for. Because, and, The spiritual world doesn't operate the way this one is, and they've made it so physical, and then they gave us this foreign tongue, which totally disempowered our tongue. And in order, as we come back to our power, we're coming back online. And that's why with this language of the future being telepathy, the most important thing is to purify yourself, beloveds, and work on yourself. Because if it's telepathy, then that means I'll be able to see your intentions and you'll be able to see my intentions. But if you've really worked on yourself and reached another, a certain level, you don't really, bad intentions don't even exist in your mind. It's not even part of your reality. All your intentions are good. So you have nothing to hide. You could literally be an open book, because there's nothing you want from that person, there's nothing you need to exploit from that person, there's nothing you need from that person. There's the Babylon matrix has fallen, so there's nothing they're gonna help you with. So it's you're just living your best life and living your paradise, and fulfilling, continuing to fulfill the great work in your own capacity. And on that level of being, beloveds, it's just like that level of purity. Really, your intentions are good, and they'll have to be good because people will see it. And things like the wrong intentions will put you in the wrong dimension. So if your intentions are low vibe, negative, needing anything from outside of yourself, that will place you among other vibrating spirits that need things from each other, and you'll find yourself in an exploitative reality. So really, beloveds, like, we're close to the end of the marathon, and now it's everyone must break out and dash to the finish line. It's literally by continuously working on that elevation and purification process, and breaking all the chains of limitation, limited thinking, limited feeling, limited beliefs, coming out of belief into knowing, which just means doing the necessary work every single day, every single minute. I mean, it reaches a point where you're literally living a meditative life. Like, your awakening is literally what you eat, breathe, live, and it's an absolutely amazing experience, because nature is so rewarding. Nature will never ever let us down. So in this world of telepathy, beloveds, you just have to, one of the most important things, as I said, is purifying yourself, because people will be able to literally see your thoughts, and many who are higher than you can see exactly what you're thinking and plotting, and the levels you're operating in. But many of them will just dismiss you. They won't even try, because they can't even stoop that low. So they just X you and keep it moving. But they can tell. So already, if you're already starting that journey, and you want to meet some of these spiritual masters that are walking at such a time as this, and the ancient ones, you're really gonna have to walk in as much purity as possible, and purify your thoughts. The other thing is, you must really know who you are to walk in this level of game, this level of vibration, beloveds. You really have to know who you are. You really have to be self-confident and completely clear about that. Even if it's a working process and you're getting to know yourself, stand firm on what you already know about yourself, and stand firm on the fact that you are, a supreme being who has the freedom of choice, who has the freedom, beloved. So that as you waver sometimes in your thought process, and that may put you up and down in terms of the dimensions you're in, as you're waiting to kind of settle out, kind of hit the plateau at the highest level, so that in your confidence you'll be able to shut all those lower vibrations, all those lower thinking realities that start to manifest out. So self-confidence, self-knowledge is so important at this level. So important, beloveds. But yeah, the language of the future is telepathy. There's so much I could say. And that's how I'll be able to get along with my brothers and sisters in Botswana, whether they speak English, whether I don't speak Portuguese or whatever language. I don't know if Botswana is English speaking, sorry about that, but Angola, let's say, and these languages, or a French speaking language, that won't matter anymore, because we're in sync telepathically. And that's why they have this Google Translate. Everything that Babylon creates mimics our powers. So now they have this Translate app where you can basically speak English into the app and take it to, like, a Swahili person. Well, I don't know if they have Swahili on there, and it will translate into their language. They usually show like Chinese and Asians doing this. But so that technology exists, but they got that technology from what we could do ourselves. So I may, in my mind, be speaking to you in English, but what I'll hear coming back from you will be English, even though in your mind you received it as French and returned it as French, whatever your main language is. But the telepathy will kind of override that. Well, you'll just know. It may not even be specific words, but you'll just know. You'll have a deep inner understanding. And that's why continue to do the inner work, beloveds. What lies ahead is magical. It's awesome. It's wonderful. It will just blow anything you've experienced here out of the water. Anything we've seen in the movies where we're like, whoa, what blew our minds? This will be more. And we're going to live it like real time. So work on yourself, beloveds, knowing that in working on yourself, you're doing exactly what you're meant to be doing at such a time as this. Tuko pamoja.